Hey, welcome back to my channel, Unique World, and if you are new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Hey, welcome back to my channel, Unique World, and I know it's been a minute, but in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how I made this tumbler. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you sand your tumbler. This is definitely going to help make sure that your tumbler is nice and smooth and that the paint will actually stick to the tumbler a whole lot better. Now just grab your alcohol and rub it onto the tumbler to make sure that it is nice and clean and that there's no sanding residue like this on your tumbler. Now it's time to grab your spray paint. You can use any color that you would like, but in this tutorial it's going to be purple, and this is the color Grape. Because I am using two colors, I'm going to be using this French purple looking color, and I am just going to spray it on the top of the tumbler. After 30 minutes, I'm just going to grab my clear Rustoleum gloss and I'm going to spray it on top of the purple spray paint. Then after it dries for about 30 minutes, I'm just going to put on the epoxy onto the tumbler and make sure that it's nice and even. It doesn't have to be thick because this is just the first layer and it's just going to be there to just help make sure that the glitter is intact on the tumbler. What I like to do is make sure that my tumbler is at an angle, like angling down to where I can just put the glitter on top of the tumbler, and it makes it look really nice. And if you guys are new, just know that everything that I use in my tutorial will be in the description down below. And here is what your tumbler should look like. And now it's just all about waiting about 1 to 2 hours to make sure that it dries just a little bit before you go ahead and put on your next coat of the epoxy. So as I'm rubbing the epoxy onto the tumbler, I'm just making sure that it's nice and even. The tool that I'm using is like a silicone brush that will also be in the description down below, as well as the tumbler, because it makes making tumblers a whole lot easier. But then again, you can always use your index finger or your finger to just make sure that the epoxy is rubbed on smoothly. Just make sure that you use gloves. Okay, to make sure that the epoxy doesn't form any bubbles, I'm just going to use this crafting heating gun and pop any bubbles that I see on the tumbler. Normally, I let my cup dry overnight, and here's the next day. And I'm just removing it off the tumbler, and here is what it looks like. And you're going to grab your sanding block and make sure that your cup is nice and smooth. And to remove all the sanding particles from sanding, you're just going to grab your alcohol and you're just going to make sure that you rub your tumbler nice and clean. Okay, so here's a little backstory on this tumbler. I had one of my YouTube watchers, contact me via email requesting a tumbler, which I make them all the time for other people, other customers that, reach out to me. But specifically, this was one of my YouTube watchers. And she actually reached out to me to, make her a tumbler for her friend. And, these are one of the special moments where you're like, oh, I really appreciate, you guys just, watching, hanging in there, sticking with me. And I really, really hope that you guys like these tutorials that I made, because, a lot of times people aren't as detailed as you would like them to be in different tutorials, and I try to be as detailed as I can. And if you guys have any suggestions on, like, if you need something specific or something like that, then make sure that you comment down below and let me know what you guys are looking for, because I can probably provide a tutorial for you to make things a whole lot easier. Yes, so like I said, I really appreciate everyone for watching my videos, because every like, comment, share, and subscribe, and even watching an ad all the way through will help allow me to gain the funds to provide you with more and better quality videos. So yes, again, thank you so much. So now that your decals or your stickers is added onto your tumbler, it is time to put the final coat of epoxy on the tumbler. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the tumbler onto the cup turner and get prepared to epoxy the tumbler. So if you guys need any details on how I mix my epoxy, just let me know in the comments down below. But normally what I do is I would get one of these medicine cups and I measure from there, but I get just what I need for how many tumblers I'm doing. And in this case, I'm only doing 1 tumbler, so I don't need as much epoxy. And I just make sure that I get the same amount of part A and part B, and I mix it up together, and I let it sit for about 3 minutes, and then I stir it again, and then I apply the epoxy onto the tumbler. I noticed that when I allow the epoxy to sit in the cup for 3 minutes, it allows the bubbles to rise to the top of the measuring cup, and the bubbles kind of pop on its own, because when you do epoxy, you don't want to see any type of bubbles on your product, because it just doesn't look right. And just make sure that, if you have a heating gun, and you can use a dryer if you want, you can use a heating gun to pop those bubbles. But the crafting gun that I do, heating gun that I do use, it will be in the description down below as well. But the thing about epoxy is you want to make sure that you are in a well ventilated area, because the epoxy it has a lot of chemicals in it. So if you have one of the mask respirators, just use that, because that's going to help make sure that you're not inhaling any of the chemicals inside of the epoxy. But yes, all you need to do now is just make sure that the epoxy is on your tumbler nice and even. And here is the crafting heating gun that I'm going to be using to make sure that I pop any bubbles that is on the tumbler. If you have any epoxy that just happened to get inside of your cup, all you have to do is make sure that you scrape it off. And I'm using one of those popsicle sticks and just making sure that I scrape it off. But even after it dries, you can always use one of the X-Acto knives and get it off. Okay, so here is the final look of the tumbler. I really hope you guys like the tutorial and like the design of the tumbler. So if you can, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, peace.